Hello guys, today we have to deal with Rambo. Rambo is a famous, popular video game which is actually an Atari 2600 clone coming from the early 90s. It's of course Chinese made, doesn't have anything to do with Rambo, the movie, or anything around it. It's just catchy to the eye, along with this red eye-catching box. It is made in China, of course, and it has some 5,000, 6,000, 2 million games. I don't know, which is apparently not true. You can tell it's just a variation of a game over a variation over a variation, and so on and so forth. The interesting thing is those games are pretty popular, or used to be, in the eastern countries, Eastern Europe, and one of the reasons was that of the price, of course, it's China made, and the other reason is that they couldn't easily get the American official original, Atari, back in the day, so they're coming up with clones like this pretty often. And one of my friends told me that the screenshots used at the back of the box are coming from Sega, so they look better to the eye. I don't know if this is true, but anyhow, I got this from eBay recently, with a couple of broken joysticks inside and a couple of SCART adapters, apparently not even needed, and there is a power brick which is not even the right one. So I was thinking I should use my classic original Atari power supply and check if this machine has any hope to get back to life, and if there's anything I can do to fix it. I'm not sure if it powers up. It would be a great surprise to me if this thing powers up. We can check it together and share comments, ideas, your personal experience if you ever have used one of these. Down here below at the comment section, you know the drill. So let's get on and start tearing this thing apart and see what is inside and how it looks like. The outside part of the console is pretty much the same with the original Atari. You can see the power switch. The auto search is something that we need to push down each time we need to jump to the next game. There is a channel selector at the back. It's already hooked up with the power supply. Of course, we have nothing on the screen. I'm trying to play around with channel 2, 3, but no luck so far. Auto search, nothing. As I suspected, this is a non-working unit, but yeah, let's stick to the outside. It looks decent and very much alike to the original Atari. Joystick ports, difficulty switch, which reduces the lives or reset. Let's play a bit with the power. Nothing will come up. I knew that. The guy was writing to me like it used to work. Yeah, this is not news. Of course, back in the day it used to work, but anyhow, I didn't have much to say to him. I just got it to review this and try to fix it. So apparently I knew it's not going to be a working unit, and we have to open it up and look inside and see if it can do something. Let me get my Phillips screwdriver here and let's get started. Okay, the first impression is that everything is in place. We can see the EEPROM holding the ROM images of the games, and the processor next to it. None of those is socketed. but that's okay. The first aspect we need to check in situations like this is the 7805, which is the classic voltage regulator down here, probably the capacitor next to it. So I'll start by doing this. There is a logic chip missing here from the original design. Yeah, this is the way to go. I'll start with a regulator. I can see the diodes up there next to the joystick ports. The RF modulator, which gives us the picture, and yeah, apparently none of these components looks fried or damaged whatsoever. So yeah, I'll stick to the original plan and start with the basics. So let's get the measurement for the 7805 and see what happens. As you can tell, the 7805 was dead indeed, and it has been replaced. And for those of you who already noticed, yes, this is a heatsink from a 16K ZX Spectrum I had in my spares. And why I had this in my spares? Because Spectrum doesn't need the heatsink anymore. I used the DC to DC inverter. That was an easy fix for this console. It was a classic fix. Fried 7805, which is normal after 30 years or so. And apparently I need now to check other things, like I'm gonna leave it running for 15-20 minutes or more and see if it gets hotter and hotter, and if it actually can make it, and play around with the games. So far so good. I can tell I'm not very familiar with this game selection method or whatever is there to select, but it looks like there is a variation of Frogger and the Galaxian and all the classic stuff you can find. So for now it looks like an easy fix. I have to give it some time, and I have to check in a while if everything goes smoothly, and it will be working after some time, and I'll get back to show you what I was thinking and what I did. Of course, I have replaced the 7805 with a similar one, and not the DC to DC converter I used for the Spectrum, and that is the reason why the ZX Spectrum doesn't need the heatsink anymore. But I think it is a good idea to put the heatsink on this one. I'm not sure if it gets too hot, but as I saw this hanging there without any heatsink at all, I thought it might be a good idea to put the heatsink on, and yeah, it's cool. We'll see in a while. If it goes smoothly, I can call it a wrap and play around with it to celebrate. And I think I'm not going to celebrate so fast. After a while, 20 minutes or so, I was playing and trying to get the joystick working. It does nothing, and I checked both joystick ports, so there must be a problem also with the joystick ports, and I have to check the diodes and the joins, and put some fresh solder at the bottom side of the PCB and check again. So yeah, I will do just that, flip it over and try to resolder or put some fresh solder. For this need, I remove the heatsink temporarily, and yeah, I'm gonna put some fresh solder and retest again. Now the lucky shot was that I checked the diodes next to the joystick controllers with a multimeter, and the diodes should never beep when you put your multimeter to set to continuity, because that's what they do. They let the current flow in one direction, so the beep would indicate a short circuit, but it wasn't the case. That was good. It was loose joints again under the switches and the joystick ports, so fresh solder is all I needed. And by the time I was playing with the switch for the channel selection, when you have your console up and running already, what it does, I didn't know about that, is that it doesn't switch between channels. It does swap to the next set of games. So in this case we have this selector here with 3 positions for channel 2 or 3, and the position in the middle, and every position gives you roughly 15 games of a new set. So original games, we might have 45 or 50 or something like this, and then all other games are variations and variations of the very same games again and again. But the interesting part is that flipping the switch of the channel gives you a new set of 30 games or so, 15 games or so, sorry. I didn't know about that. I've never used this console before, but it's interesting because the scenery changes completely. Again, it's hockey and Frogger variation, and football and Galaxian like stuff, or Pac-Man like stuff like this. But it's interesting how this switch works, and put you in a new set of games every time you are trying to switch to another channel, supposedly. And one last thing I need to check, which is very, very important, and I'm gonna do this right away, since the joysticks are working now and I'm pretty happy with that, is to check if the original Atari cartridge can work on this machine. And I'm sure I have one or two somewhere here, and I need to check the cartridge port and the ability to play original Atari games on this machine, and that will be the last step to do. The heatsink does a great job after all. A bit of cleaning inside the motherboard. The temperature is great after all this time. And let's get on with the cartridge test, and that will be all for today. All the components are cool, trying to get the temperature as a feeling. The joystick okay, the ports are okay, and the picture itself is not that bad. So let me get the cartridge and do this final test, and I'm going to close this case up and catch you in a moment. I almost forgot this last step, but yeah, this is one of my favorite games, Battlezone, the original Atari cartridge, and it works like a charm, and I'm very happy with this and very pleased with this easy fix for today. I like this game, but I suck big time. Anyways, I'm trying again every little thing I can test, like joystick on port 1, then to port 2, moving, shooting, and get the guy. Yes, so it looks okay. I have to check again the switches, try to reset difficulty and reset the score, stuff like that, so I can be sure. Yeah, this is broken corner over here, I have to deal with this later, but the rest of the switches are working great. Yes, yeah, I think I'm pleased with this fix today. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll be back with new videos from time to time. I'm trying to get as much as vintage and old machines, home micros, and 8-bit stuff from that era as much as I can. The ultimate goal is to fix and restore the machines we grew up with, the machines we love. And so yeah, consider subscribing. Please like this video if you like this stuff, and I'll catch you later in another video. Thanks.